Welcome into a special edition of the FutureSox podcast. My name is Elijah Evans, and I am really excited to be joined today by Raul Presas, the head coach of Okemos High School in Michigan, the head coach of Caleb Bonemer, second-round pick of the Chicago White Sox in this year's MLB draft. I'm really excited to have Raul on to talk a little bit about just Caleb's trajectory in high school. This is an 18-year-old guy that the White Sox just drafted in the draft this past week, which is super exciting for the organization to get a player of Caleb's caliber, and we're really excited to hear directly from the guy who was coaching him for the past few years. So welcome on. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Elijah.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we're excited to hear all about Caleb. But first and foremost, Raul, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background as a coach in Michigan, and just how you got to where you are as the head coach now at Okemos.
Sure. I've been the varsity head coach. I just wrapped up my fourth year. So I'm fairly new to the high school scene. Prior to that, I was coaching youth baseball, and one conversation led to the next, and here I am, the varsity baseball coach at Okemos High School. I can tell you that I didn't set out with the intent of being a high school baseball coach, but when it was presented, I was happy to take on that challenge.
Yeah, it's a hard opportunity to pass. It's fun, and obviously, where did your kind of baseball interest and career start at a younger age?
Sure. I've been playing baseball as long as I can remember. Played local baseball here at high school in the area, Lansing Eastern High School, and had the opportunity to join the Michigan State baseball program as a walk-on in the mid '80s. So I'm kind of going to date myself a little bit. Things didn't pan out the way that I wanted them there, but that's kind of my story in a nutshell as far as baseball is concerned.
Very cool. So obviously now 4 years, that means you kind of have spent your entire high school coaching career watching Caleb Bonemer and obviously coaching him. I'm not sure exactly what his trajectory was. Can you tell us a little bit about your first encounters with him and his start as a high school baseball player?
Sure. My first interaction with Caleb was in a 12U. It was at a 12U baseball tournament. I was coaching a local Okemos youth team made up of all Okemos kids, and obviously Caleb being an Okemos kid, we asked him to join us. He was at that time playing on a travel team out of out of Howell, Michigan, and he was available. Came to play with us, and you could tell early on right away that he was different, even at 12 years of
Yeah.
age.
What were some of those early indications at that age that like you could just see kind of on the field or on as a person or all of the above?
All of the above, just the way he carried him, the way he carries himself as an individual, the way he manages the game as a player. All the physical skills were there. You could tell he was a great baseball player, but just the way he processed different things happening on the field, how he handled um, different parts of the game, all of those things, you could just tell that he was just different.
Yeah, you can sometimes just feel it early on. Once he
Right.
got to high school, so you knew him well even before high school, which is pretty cool to look back at now. But once he got to high school, what was the start of his high school career like, and kind of how did he start to progress? Was it just instantly he was like a freshman varsity clicked immediately, or did it take him some time to kind of find his groove at the high school level?
No, he hit the ground running as soon as he got to high school. He
Yeah,
was on the varsity team. He's a 4-year varsity letter winner, and he was just like I said. He stepped right in. One of the things that I've shared with others, Caleb had the benefit of playing baseball alongside with practicing with his older brother Gabe, who is also a very good baseball player in his own right. And what that meant for Caleb was is he got to hang out with Gabe's friends who were also baseball players. So Caleb matured at a quicker pace, I would say, on the baseball field and also off the field, simply because of the interactions that he was able to experience with his older brother Gabe.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's easy to learn
Yeah,
from people when you're around the game, obviously from a young age, right? Off the
absolutely.
field, before we'll dive into some more just details about who he is as a player and what he does on the field. Off the field, was he kind of what are some of the things that kind of brought him into more of a leadership role? Obviously, he said working with his brother, but also just things he does and enjoys off the field to keep himself kind of balanced and obviously being a high level recruit, right? It's a lot.
Right. Caleb played basketball, I want to say, through his ninth grade year at high school, and he made the decision after ninth grade to focus solely on baseball. So I think basketball has always been a love of his.
Yeah.
I've been at his house for different functions, and they get on the court and they start playing basketball, and he's right in the middle of that stuff. He's just a great athlete. So I tell people he could have been an all-state cornerback for a football team, and he's never played football before. Um, One of the things that he did, Caleb's not the most outspoken young man, but when he does speak, it carries a lot of weight, and his presence is known. He is developed into what I call a very quiet leader, and what I mean by that is his actions speak obviously for themselves, but also when there's an opportunity to encourage a teammate that's struggling, he'll give them that pat on the back, or when somebody has done something really cool on the baseball field, he'll be the first one there to give them a high five or whatever it is that the high school players do today. But he has developed into a great cheerleader, if you will, also. And to me, there's a difference between leadership and being a leader and a cheerleader, and that's not taking away anything away from his leadership skills. Our postseason run this year was pretty special. We've not done anything like this, or Okemos High School hasn't, in 27 years. We made it to the state quarterfinals. We lost to a really good Northville team, but Caleb was leading the cheer. He was the guy that was leading us on the field, making absolutely amazing defensive plays, getting key hits when we needed them. But he was also the guy in the dugout that was rallying the team to bring some energy to the game, and it was really cool to see him doing that. And then also, after we lost the game, just to see the emotion, that side of him that we've never seen before, to be vulnerable like that, to me, separates good from great, because I think when people can see that you're willing to be vulnerable, that just makes you a special individual.
Yeah, that's really impactful, and that's cool to hear because there's a difference between keeping a wall up and remaining confident, but also like it is important to be vulnerable, especially in sports as you continue to age. So that's a really cool little tidbit to hear about him on that front. In terms of the way he's kind of progressed throughout high school, obviously, like you said he came in as a star. He's been a 4-year varsity guy. Like he's always been an extreme talent. Offensively, we'll start on that side of the ball. How have you seen him kind of develop as a hitter, whether it's his approach or just the way he kind of handles himself in the box, anything along those lines throughout his last few
Yeah,
years?
I would describe him as a guy that's always looking to refine his game,
Yeah.
especially at the plate. Obviously, seeing what we see up here in a cold weather state, the pitching that we see isn't always as good, if you will, as what he saw in the summer circuit. He's always looking to make adjustments. One of the things that we talked about early on is making sure that those adjustments don't get in the way of him having fun in the game itself. And he just, like I said, he takes a very professional approach to everything that he does. Every at bat, whether it's good or bad, he wants to see what that swing looked like. If he gets jammed on a pitch, what could he have done differently? So he's always looking, like I said, to get better. To see him develop it from his freshman year to where he is now has been pretty amazing. As much on the field defensively as it is at the plate.
Yeah,
What
I was just going to get to the
he does not get enough credit for what he does defensively. This kid is a stud defensively. The White Sox, and I know in just reading the most recent articles, they want to try and keep him at shortstop. Every time you think that he can't exceed or do better than what he just did, he finds a way to do it, and it's pretty amazing what this young man
yeah.
did for us defensively.
That's what I was going to get to next because I've heard a lot of mixed things, right? I've been reading scouting reports and watching videos and such, and I've heard some people indicate that he could move to third as he bulks up a little, kind of gains some strength. He has the arm strength to stick over there. Obviously, his arm grades out really well from everything I've
Mm-hmm.
seen. But you see him as a shortstop. It sounds like the White Sox want to keep him there at least. Obviously he's 18, like he's got a lot of time to go and room to grow, right? But like it sounds to me like you think he can be an impact shortstop, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I've read the same articles. You hear
Yeah.
the different conversations, and I would be, if he's going to get moved to third, it's because the White Sox just have somebody that's better than he is
Right.
at shortstop. He's going to do whatever it takes to get to the bigs. That's his dream. He wants to get to the show, right?
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, having coached him the past 4 years, I haven't seen a better shortstop ever, even at the collegiate level. Obviously, pro baseball, it's a little different. But Brandon Inge, if you remember that
Yeah.
name, played for the Tigers for a long time. He paid him probably the biggest compliment that a former major league could play. And we played Detroit Country Day 2 years ago. It was his sophomore year, I believe it was. And make a very long story short, unsolicited, Brandon Inch said that he's the best high school shortstop that he has ever seen. So that's quite a compliment coming from a former
Seriously.
major league player.
Yeah, 100%. I believe I'm with you right there. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that seem like he can stick it short for sure. In terms of, I mean, more back at the plate, right? Going back a little bit here, he is kind of known a little bit. I mean, at least on the circuit, right? At Perfect Game Nationals and area code games, he showed off the power a lot. How do you see him kind of hitting for average as he gets older? Because it seems like he has a lot of raw power to tap into, but there's been a few more things that people are wondering, like, is he going to hit? Is the contact up to speed with the power?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that Caleb can be a 20 to 30 home run kind of guy. I believe that he can be a 75 to 90 RBI guy, if not greater. I think he's going to steal some bases. I do believe that because he's lightning quick. He's a great instinctive base runner. I think that he is going to be able to hit for average as well, simply because of the adjustments that he makes, and he's able to adjust on the fly. So if he sees a pitcher that's leaning more off speed, he will make adjustments. He won't change his swing, but he'll make adjustments to give himself the best opportunity to find success at the plate. Like I said, I think he's capable of being an above average hitter for average. I mean, and then driving in runs and hitting home runs. I believe he's the whole package at the plate
Yeah.
as well as defensively.
That's very exciting to hear. And obviously, I see a lot of the same things that you're describing them when I've watched him. Is he, the last year, right? Like he's been on draft radars for what, multiple years now, not just the last year. But how has that process been for your high school and just for him kind of managing, scouts at games and all that layer of just like there's a lot of pressure on guys, especially high school guys who get that much attention.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's been on the radar screen for a couple of years, and for me, it was a first time experiencing anything like
Yeah.
this. So it was different, but between myself and his father, who's extremely supportive, along with his mom, we were able to take that pressure off of Caleb. So that he could focus on baseball,
Right.
interacting with scouts on a weekly basis, letting them know what our schedule was like, when he would be available for on-field hitting, if there was a change to his schedule. So we really tried to make that this season as seamless as possible for him and allow him just to focus on baseball. Um, it's been amazing for the school and the community
Yeah.
to all the recognition that he's received on the day after the draft, to be talking to members of the community, a couple of dozen of them. Many of them were tuned in to the draft, and they were all excited about what he accomplished, and it's just an exciting time for Okemos, um, not only baseball but just sports in general.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's definitely it is a long process. So that's cool to hear that it didn't seem like it was too much pressure on him because that can get stressful for high school guys. I mean, that's definitely
Absolutely.
an aspect to consider. It's a lot of attention. It's a lot of eyes on you all the time. So I know his numbers, at least in high school, were a little stronger his junior year, came down a little bit this spring, but still had plenty of good games, obviously. How has it been, over the last year? How has he kind of adjusted? And do you think that it was, there was some degree of just getting ready for the next level where he kind of, he did already know that it was heading this direction, right? So, like, what have you seen over the last year specifically in terms of that development and just changes that he's had to adjust to in his last two high school seasons?
Yeah, yeah. Coming up, well, I'll jump to what he did this past summer.
Yeah.
In 23, it was just an amazing summer that he had. I mean, he absolutely blew up, totally blew up, and he. I'm not shocked by it at all. What
Yeah.
he did at the plate, the adjustments that he had to make this year. 1 minute we're playing, the next minute we're not. One day we're playing in 55-degree temperatures, and next day,
Right.
the next game we're in 80-degree temperatures. One game we're facing a guy throwing 75. The next game we may be facing somebody that's throwing 82. So it's not that consistent, high 80s, low 90s
Right.
pitching that he's going to see on a regular basis. So I think he handled it well. He handled it like a professional. Sometimes you could see it became a little challenging simply because, I mean, this kid is geared for just absolute volume, high velocity type stuff. So to make those adjustments and be able to do them is special, and not everybody can do that. He's never a kid that came into the dugout and said, "Man, this guy's only throwing 75 miles an hour. I can't hit 75." Well, your
Right.
average baseball player will come into the dugout and say that. High school baseball player will say that. He didn't do that. He just looked for ways to make adjustments so that he could get out there and be successful, regardless of how slow or fast somebody was throwing.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Well, we really appreciate it. That's all I got. If you have any other tidbits that you want to share with us, we're welcome to hear it for sure. But I appreciate the insight, and it sounds like not only is he a great player, but the type of guy that you want in your system, and the type of guy that you want to root for. That's just going to keep working at everything.
Here at Okemos, we're all super proud of him. I know the coaching staff here at Okemos the Okemos baseball program is very excited for him and happy for him, and everything that Caleb has, all the recognition he's getting, being selected 43rd by a great organization like the White Sox is absolutely awesome. You got a gem. You got a gem, and I know I'm a little biased in saying that, but he's a gem because he takes nothing for granted. He works his butt off, and he's not a kid who's looking for accolades. His success will be spoken by others, and it will be shown on the field. And like I said, the White Sox got a good one.
We're very excited. I know all speaking for fans and people that cover the team, we're all really excited, and it's awesome to hear some insight from you about the player. Thank you, Raul, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to watching Caleb develop within the White Sox organization.